If you have spent any time working with WordPress contact forms, you know just how much of a headache they can be getting the emails to send. And even more frustrating than simply getting the emails to send is when the emails are sending to you when you test it, but your clients are saying, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm not getting the emails." And well, the issue is usually on the client's end. It has to do with the client's email client looking at the email and saying either A, this is spam, or B, it's not even worthy of being checked for spam because this email just looks fake. So I've had to deal with this in my business, and I'm going to cover the solution that is working for me, and it's working incredibly well in getting us 100% email deliverability to all of our clients, no matter where we're trying to get this through to. You need to be using a Gmail account. It can be a free Gmail account or a paid G Suite account. And then we'll also be using a free WordPress plugin. So let's jump into the back end of the WordPress site here and get started on it. Now in the back end of our WordPress website, let's head on over here to the left sidebar menu and go to Plugins and then Add New. When that loads, we'll search for a new plugin called SMTP. And that's not the name of it, but it's an SMTP plugin. And there's going to be a bunch of options that pop up right here. Now, all of these plugins fundamentally work and do the same thing, but this plugin right here, Post SMTP Mailer / email log, also known as or formerly known as Postman plugin, this plugin does a good job of pulling in the settings that you're going to need and kind of doing a little bit of the pre-configuration. It doesn't do everything for you, but as you're going to see, there's a lot of configuration that's going to happen here outside of WordPress. So the little steps that it does help you with here are very much valued. And I've worked with all these plugins here, and this is the one that I keep coming back to. So we install it, and then we're going to activate it. And then we are going to come over here on the left menu to where it says Post SMTP. You see it's added to the menu there, and we are going to start the wizard. Right, so we're going to start the wizard, and it's going to pull in our name and email address from the WordPress admin settings. If this is not applicable and you're going to be using a different email address to send the emails, well, you'll put it in here. Then we're going to go into Next. It's going to detect the outgoing mail server host name. This is going to be Gmail's. Give it a moment to do that, and then click Next. And then it's going to do a little countdown here while it checks some things. So we're going to patiently wait for this. 4, 3, 2, TikTok, 1, boom. Okay. And it's going to fetch in some settings right here. We want to make sure down here at the bottom that it's pre-detecting OAuth 2.0. If you used a Gmail or G Suite address, it should select this. And it says requires client ID and client secret. I'm going to show you how to set that up in Google's API in one of the next steps here. So everything's good here. Make sure that OAuth 2.0 is selected. That's what we want to use. And that fundamentally allows your WordPress website to kind of log into your email and send the email out through the email so that it's recognized by recipients as a real email. So let's click on Next and go on here. And now here we are where we need to configure the actual API in Google here. Now you see client ID because I tested this before, and a client secret. I'm going to delete those. Those are already deleted. And we're going to assume that, well, you're starting from scratch. We're not assuming anything. You should be starting from scratch and blank. So I just deleted all mine. So kind of pretend that didn't happen there. But now what we want to do is we want to, in a new window, head on over to console.cloud.google.com and then go /home. If you don't have the /home in there, if you don't put this on there, it'll kind of take you to some other place. I mean, you're not going to be far out of the picture, but for the sake of demonstration in this video and getting you to the right place, so we're all starting from the same point, put that /home in there. So that's console.cloud.google.com/home. I'll link to this somewhere around the video and hit enter. And yours still might be a little different than what mine looks like. You might see something that says you have no projects, start a new project, etc., something like that. Well, we're going to want to start a new project anyways, unless you know what you're doing and you've already kind of messed with this before. It's easiest, and I say if you've messed with this before, if you've messed with it before and you know what you're doing, then you can work from that same project. But I'm going to go from scratch, start a new project. That's what I recommend doing here if you're following along. So if you don't have anything in the actual body of your page saying start a new project, you click this drop-down menu, you click on new project right here, and you give your project a name. It doesn't really have to be anything. I'm just going to put demo WP email config. And then click create. All right, we're going to wait for it to create this up here. And here's the one. You can see I did something similar earlier on this. So now we're in it, and you want to make sure that when you're in the project settings, that name that you gave the project is displayed up there. If we drop down, you'll see all of my other projects in there. This is the one we're working on. Make sure your proper project is selected. Now we're going to click on the hamburger icon menu here on the left and go to APIs and services and then OAuth consent screen. Okay, we need to do this first to make everything work. It's going to ask for user type. We're going to put external. Now, this is primarily for apps that are going to have external users. We're going to be really our only user here. So app name, and I'm just going to say WP website outbound emails. This won't matter to the client or anything. This is all your own internal records. Select your user support email. And then authorized domain. We can just put add a domain in here. We're going to use my own website. And then developer contact information. I'll go ahead and put my own email in there. So that's all we need. And again, this isn't going to be, visible to your actual clients. This is just what you need to kind of get things set up and rolling. So then save and continue. That's saying scopes. We don't need to worry about this. Test users. We don't need to worry about that. And then summary. And that's pretty much it. So we'll just click back to dashboard right here. Now here's a very important step. Do not overlook this here. Where it says publishing status and it says testing, we're just going to click publish app. Okay. And, it mentions some verification stuff. We'll talk about this in a second. Talk about this once we get set up to it here, right? So here it is. We've given the OAuth consent. Now what we need to do is get our client ID and client secret. So for that, we're going to click on credentials right there and create credentials and then OAuth client ID. And then for application type, we're going to type web application. And then right here, I like to put the client's website that we're using this for. This isn't necessary. You could use the same credentials for multiple client websites, but I like to do this. So that way, if the client leaves, we just come in and delete it, because they're no longer paying for our services. And right here, we'll just put this in. We're just going to say website client 001. Actually, we won't even put website. We'll just say client 001, right? It doesn't really matter what you name it. I usually put the name of the website that's in there. And then we're going to come back here. We're going to copy our JavaScript origins, which is going to be our site URL. And we will come back and get the redirect URI. I'm not sure what that is, but it's this field right there. We're going to copy it. I'm copying it with my keyboard, but for demo purposes, I just copied it with the mouse and then add it. And then we shall paste and we should be good. So create. And then here are the numbers. So there's our client ID. And click it and copy. We'll come back here. We shall paste it. We'll come back to Google Cloud. We'll copy. We'll go through the paste again. Boom. Then next, this will give you notifications if the emails fail to deliver. I actually don't use this setting, so I'm just going to next it. And then finish, right? So I'm going to click finish. But wait, there's more. Up here, you're going to see you have configured OAuth 2.0 authentication, but have not received permission to use it. Grant permission with Google, right? So we're going to click it. And then we're going to select the email address that we were using to send from. Now it's saying Google hasn't verified this app, okay? Giving you this big warning sign here. All right, you're going to get this because you don't have a verified app. However, verification is not necessary when you're using a WordPress SMTP. All right, so you can see it right here, and this is on Google's actual documentation for their API. and OAuth access, and it says OAuth-based plugins. If you're setting up an OAuth-based plugin for a popular platform such as SMTP for WordPress, you don't need to go through the verification process. So we're all good there. That just means that right here we got to click Advanced, and then right there go on, even though it's unsafe. And then when this little pop-up comes in here, we're just going to click Allow. There, and then Allow again. And boom, you are ready to go. So you can go through, test your email. It should work. I've done this many times and it works consistently. For all of our clients that used to say, I'm not getting these emails, and we'd be like, well, we're testing it and they're working, let's put in a different email address and it works. This would be it. So this brings up the $1 million question. What's the easiest way of setting this up for a client? So in that case, when it comes to setting this up for a client here, let's just jot out some notes. Let me make this. I like making things plain text. As a developer, can't live without a plain text file. Setting up for a client, you have either option A, which is get their Gmail/G Suite password and log in as them. And then go in and set this all up, right? So you set it up in their own account. Or B, what we do is we just set up a email delivery. So we'll say, set up email delivery address to send from. So for my clients, for example, we will send an email, or we have an email address that says webmail delivery at, and that's not the actual email address that we use, but similar to that, you get the idea, momentum.com, okay? So now for all of our client emails and client websites, we just go into the website right when we set up the website. At this point, we went back and switched all of our clients that we had before just to ensure that everything is happening properly. We switched them all to send from this webmail delivery at contractormomentum.com, which is the name of my company. And obviously this is a G Suite email, so we're using it for that purpose. So that's the two ways that you can set this up for a client. If we do have a high value client, we have done this for one client, a client that really wants their own domain in there. We said, hey, send us a G Suite login and password. And we actually had them make a G Suite email because it's only $5. So if you're working with a client that's got a multi-million-dollar business, that $5 a month G Suite email ain't nothing to worry about. And quite frankly, if they can't afford that G Suite email, I probably would not set that up for them. But we get that G Suite email, and it's just a G Suite email that's like webmail delivery at whatever their domain is.com, and we just set this whole thing up to run from there. And with this, we've had absolutely flawless, 100% perfect email delivery. So let me know how that works for you guys. Drop the comments, drop a comment or a question if you have them in the comments below. Otherwise, if you want more marketing insight and WordPress WordPress experience and insights and marketing experiments, I do a lot of marketing experience. Look for the No Bullshit Marketing Facebook group somewhere in the link below. Guys, that's a wrap on this video. I'm signing off.